Yay! And we're live. Hey guys, sorry for the 5-minute delay. It happens when there's this many people. Welcome to Whiskey, Wine, and Writing Pitch Wars Edition. Tonight we have all of the awesome, well, not all of them, but tons of YA mentors here talking about what they're looking for in a mentee. So I am your host, Natasha, and I am here with my most awesome co-host.
Thank you. I'm E.L. Wicker. It's lovely to be here tonight with all these lovely YA mentors. Yay!
All right, and so we are going to go down the line and let the mentors introduce themselves a little bit and let you know a little bit about what they're looking for. So Stephanie is the first now. So Stephanie, say hi and introduce yourself and all that wonderful stuff.
Hi. Great. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm Stephanie Scott. I'm co-mentoring with Valerie Cole, who's not on this call, but we will be looking for contemporary young adult. That's mainly what we write, but Valerie's big fantasy young adult fan too. So last year I did not mentor fantasy, and I saw fantasy do so well in Pitch Wars. So I'm super glad to have Valerie on my team to kind of be more of an expertise in that. And I have my debut young adult is coming out in an undetermined date, early 2016 with Bloomsbury Spark. It's called Alterations. It's a sort of retelling of the Sabrina movie, so I kind of think of it as like Ugly Betty with Sabrina. So it's like a teen fashion type of love story.
Nikki?
Hi, I'm Nikki Roberti. I am represented by Susie Townsend and Gestello at New Leaf Literary. And I'm looking for young adult contemporary, maybe some light sci-fi, thriller, suspense, and I love historical fiction. So that's what I'm looking for. And I'm Brenda's assistant, and she's awesome, so you should say hi to her on Twitter. Hello!
Thank you, Nikki. Laurie?
Hi, I'm Lori Goldstein. I am the author of Gin, which is backwards, but you can see it. And that came out in April of this year, and it's kind of a modern spin on the tale of wish-granting genies. And this year I'm co-mentoring with Chelsea Bobluski, who has been my critique partner for the past couple of years, and she was instrumental in helping Becoming Gin and its sequel, which is coming out next year, get to the great shape that they're in now. So I'm really excited to be co-mentoring with her. And we both like this kind of contemporary fantasy, urban fantasy, and straight-out contemporary. So I'd say that those are the biggest things that we're looking for. We both really like stories that have a little bit of humor in it. And Chelsea is really, she has a really nice style of prose, and she's really great at working with that. So she is going to be such a benefit to be my co-mentor this year.
That's awesome. Thank you. Jean Marie?
Hey there, I'm Jean Marie, or Jeannie, whatever you want to call me. I answer to both. So I'm Jean Marie Anaya. I write YA contemporary, and I'm represented by Jessica Sinsheimer of the Sarah Jane Fryman Agency. And yeah, I'm looking for the same as what I write, YA contemporary. I like all different spins on it, from the light to the dark. But I would really love something that's a little on the lighter side and's got tons of humor in it. I happen to be one of those people that fills really awkward silences with laughing and humor and bad jokes. So I'm hoping I can get a book that's got that.
Awesome. I want to bounce back and see if Jen has vocables really quick.
Can you hear me?
Yay!
Yay!
I'm on my phone, so I cannot do the little picture thingy on the bottom. There's no possible way, so I'm sorry, I'm the loser without the name tag on the bottom.
You are completely fine and adorable, and that's okay. So introduce yourself and tell everybody what you're seeking.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a little frazzled right now. Okay, so I'm Jennifer Blackwood, and I write new adult and adult contemporary romance. I'm also a language arts teacher. I teach middle school language arts, so my first passion is YA books, so that's why I'm seeking YA and NA books this year. And I am looking for a lot of things. So I'm really interested in finding a YA mystery. I'd like something similar to kind of Veronica Mars where she has that relationship with Logan. I would really kill for that, so if you have that, please send it my way. I'm also looking for all YA romance. I really like light, fluffy books with a lot of heart. If it's a sad book, it's not for me. I really, really don't like to cry. I like the light and fluffy. So if your book is, 90% of it, I'm going to be, grabbing my tissues. Probably not for me. And let's see, sports romance. I really love Miranda Keneally. She writes Catching Jordan. And I would really love another female sports-centered book, especially if it's in a male-dominated sport, football or lacrosse or something like that. I would really love a sports book. And I think that's about it for now.
Awesome. Helene?
Colleen?
Oh, sorry, didn't hear you. I'm Helene Dunbar. I'm represented by Beth Phelan of the Bent Agency. My debut, These Gentle Wounds, came out in 2014, and then my follow-up, What Remains, released this past May. I definitely want character-driven contemporary or character-driven fantasy. Really, that's my focus, is that the characters drive the story. I love to, books that make me cry, so send them all this way. Extra points if you make me cry. But the genre's not quite as important to me as the characters. I really want to fall in love and want to be friends with the people that you're writing about. So.
Awesome. And Brianna.
I think Brianna has Frozen. Just a little
I'm
bit.
represented by Josh Adams.
My apologies.
Oh, did I forget?
You did a little bit, yeah.
How about now? Am I good?
You're good.
Am I unfrozen now?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Brianna Shrum, and I'm represented by Josh Adams at Adams Literary. My debut novel is a YA fantasy called Never, and it comes out September 22nd of this year from Spencer Hill. And then my second novel is a YA contemporary romantic comedy, and it comes out from Sky Pony fall of next year, and it's called How to Make Out. So this year I'm going to be looking for YA fantasy and YA contemporary. That's it.
Awesome. Okay. Elizabeth is back. All right, Elizabeth, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I don't
All the
know.
lag issues.
Yeah. Yeah, Elizabeth is frozen.
Okay, well, while we wait for Elizabeth to come back, guys, if you are just joining us, we are talking with the YA Mentors of Pitch Wars, which is a competition run by Brenda Drake, and Nikki is her assistant, so, that's like kudo points right here. We have Brenda's assistant on as a YA mentor. But for any and all information on Pitch Wars, you can go to brendadrake.com, and there is the mentor blog hop, so you can go through and read all the mentors' bios. But right now, for any of these wonderful mentors that we have, if you have any questions for them, hashtag them with the Whiskey Wine Writing hashtag, as well as the Pitch Wars hashtag, and we're going to start asking your questions live. And I think Elizabeth is back. She's trying. Elizabeth, are you with us?
I think not.
Okay. Do you have the first question, EL, or do you want me to grab it?
I have the first question. I hope it's the same first question as your first question. I've got here from Sarah, at Recently Sarah. What would you like to know about potential mentees?
So we'll start that one with Nikki, because she's next on the tier.
What would I like to see from potential mentees?
What would you like to know about them?
I guess I would like to know if you genuinely really are excited to revise and just have a great mentor relationship. I think I would be really disappointed if I picked a mentee who's like, wait, you want to do what to my book? Because, I had to cut 2 characters during my Pitch Wars novel, and I cut like how many thousand words thanks to Rachel Lynn Solomon, who's a great mentor as well. So I I would like to know if they have a great attitude and they're just excited to jump in and learn to revise.
Awesome. Lori?
I like to know a little bit about who they are, how long they've been writing, where they live, even what they do for a living. It feels like it gives you a little bit of insight into them as a person. It's always going to be about the book and the manuscript, and that's got to be the best fit. But a little bit about who they are lets you know if you're going to get along. The same way when you are looking to get an agent, you have to know that you jive in your personalities and the way you want to communicate and all of those things. So a little sense of who the person is, I think, is important, and it's similar to what you would put in a Fury bio. I think you can put in the Pitch Wars pitch as well. You can be a little bit more fun, but it's still also a professional relationship, so I don't think you want to go too crazy with it either.
That was very loud, high-pitched sound.
Yeah.
I apologize. I thought I turned off my text message alert.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay.
Like a dog whistle.
Yeah, you're never going to miss that sound ever. Jen?
Okay, it's me?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I feel really weird because I didn't, could I say like who I'm represented by? I didn't like talk about my books at all.
Go ahead,
I am represented. Okay, so I'm represented by Courtney Miller Callahan of Greenberger Associates, and I have my books Unethical and Foolproof out with Entangled Embrace, and then I also have 4 books coming out next year, 2 Brazen and 2 Other Embrace. So, okay, getting that out of the way. So, yeah, I know I'm excited. I have really dirty books coming out.
I love Jennifer's books. So.
They're amazing. They're great reads.
Okay. So I would really like to see from a mentee, you know, just that they're really willing to work hard, because I really want to help make their manuscript the best that it could be. I had the pleasure of having a mentee last year who just went above and beyond, and so I'm really just, you know, I'd like to see another mentee that's willing to put in the effort, because I'm going to be putting in a lot of work as well. So.
Sorry if I zone or I'm a little late. I'm doing the
Jean Marie?
Is it me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to steal what Jennifer just said. That yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that whoever I wind up with is someone that can sort of reimagine scenes or whatever it is that potentially might not be working for me, rather than just like tweaking a sentence or two and hoping that it sticks. Because, you know, occasionally we kind of fall into that lazy trap of, oh, I just want this editing to be done. But I'm hoping that whoever I'm partnered up with will really kind of look at it from a different angle and from a different lens, because you know, you're coming into it with the mind frame of giving your perspective and helping out, and you just hope that whoever you get is going to have an open mind.
Thank you. Helene?
I think, like a lot of people have said, you know, revising is a completely different skill set, I think, from drafting, and it takes, you have to separate yourself from the book a little bit, and really put yourself into, you know, the idea that everything we're both going to be doing is to make this a better project at the end of the day. And I love brainstorming. My critique partners have definitely had to do this, like we put stuff back and forth all the time. So I'm really looking for somebody, you know, who is confident that it's their book, but is happy, like, debating things with me, and hopefully I can lead them into that they hadn't thought about before.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, are you back?
I think so. Is it working?
Yay! Okay, so introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you're looking for, and then the question is what you're looking for in a mentee.
Okay, I'm Elizabeth Briggs. I write YA and new adult. My YA sci-fi time travel book comes out next April. It's called Future Shock, and the sequel comes out fall after that. My new adult romance.
Okay, Elizabeth, you're coming through like really very, very robotic. We can barely understand you. Can you hear us? I think we might have lost Elizabeth again.
Lost Elizabeth,
Aww.
yeah.
She's having such technical difficulties, guys. I'm sorry about that. Brianna, go ahead.
Right. So in mentor or mentee, I'm a mentor. I would like to just know if they're like everybody else, like if they're open to revising and excited to kind of dig in and communicate with me about it, and even cool to like disagree with me about things, and like I want someone who's open to brainstorm and to dig into revisions and excited to do that. And then eventually, I mean, I think maybe I would want to know query history and stuff. Make sure you know, but that's basically, and I want to know, you know, my mentee's personality and who they are. Like, I think Lori said that, make sure we jive. So that's about it.
Awesome. There was one question before that, and this is a pretty broad, general question, so I'm not going to tier it, just whoever kind of wants to jump in. So Allison had asked if it's okay to ask who plans on requesting synopsis versus more sample pages, full request. Or Nikki, if you want to take that since you're kind of all up there and knowing the rules.
It really depends on the mentor's personal preference. I think I would personally love to read the full before I make my decision, but if it comes down to the wire, I might end up doing partials and synopsises.
Yeah, but they want to know if it's okay to ask specifically what the mentor is looking for. Like if the mentor is going to request it.
But I think at the same time when you are asking that, it really depends on the situation, too, because a mentor might think, oh, I'll have time to read all these
My cat just freaked out and ran away from that.
All right, hey guys, if you're not talking, just mute your mic so that Nikki can be heard, please.
I want to go.
Just mute your mic.
So I think you certainly ask, but also I know I think some mentors were trying to do serious about it last year, and they like didn't give any clues, and then they picked someone just based off the first chapter. So ask away, but be prepared to be surprised. Is that an okay answer?
I think that was a good answer, so.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, EO.
Next question is from Becky Dean, which is at BeckyDean821, and she wants to know, what word count range are you looking for in your various YA genres?
Dun dun dun. Lori, you're up.
I mean, I think the answer is probably, I think, pretty standard, but anybody can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I think you want to see for a YA book, especially starting with contemporary, I think 50,000 words is really the bottom. If it's less than that, I think you start to think that the complete story isn't there, that it hasn't been fleshed out already, which the writers should be doing before they're submitting to us, and it shouldn't just be a first draft. So I think the bottom level would be 50. And, you know, I think I'm just going to go up to the top of like around 90 to 100 for a big fantasy, for kind of an epic fantasy book. And I think generally contemporaries are on the lower end of the scale. They can get up there too. And fantasies are on the higher end of the scale. And anywhere in between, I think it's fair game.
Awesome. Jen?
I had to unmute myself. Sorry, my husband like just came home and all hell broke loose with my dog and my kid.
I know how that goes. It's okay.
Okay. Anyways, I'm holed away in my office now. So I think, well, I'm looking for contemporary, so probably word count is between, like, I would say between 55,000 and 80,000 is typical for contemporary YA, but obviously there's leeway depending on the book.
Yeah, awesome. Jeannie?
Thank you.
I would say the same thing, since I'm also looking for contemporary. Anywhere between 50, even 90, I would say, is comfortable. I feel like a lot can run long. And yet, on the other side of the coin, I always bring up one of my favorite authors, Lauren Strasnick, who writes really, really lean. Her stuff is super short, and yet each character is super fleshed out. So if it's 50, it wouldn't be something that I would automatically pass on if I was looking at it and thought, oh, 50 is too short. I would still take a look at it, But like Jennifer was saying, anything, I think Jennifer said this, anything below 50 would kind of give me pause.
Helene?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo what Jean Marie just said. My two contemporaries were, I think, 63 and 87 or something. So, in contemporary, I can definitely see a wide range. I'm working on a paranormal now that's, I'm pulling back from 100,000. So, tell a good story, and if you hook me, sell me on it. I'm completely open to being wooed.
Awesome. Brianna? Uh-oh, Brianna?
She's frozen now.
Uh-oh. How about now?
Nope.
Am I frozen yet?
Yes, you're pixelated, but we can hear you. And now
Can
she's
you hear me,
frozen again.
at least? Yikes.
Yeah. We can hear you.
Okay, well, I'll just say words and I'll look weird on the screen, I guess. So for if it's in the 50s, kind of, at least with me, be prepared that I might ask you to add a little bit more, just because it's kind of low, but I would definitely be fine with that. And then fantasy, probably between the 70s up through 100-ish. So that's where I am, I think.
Stephanie?
We're still on word count, right? I wanted to keep track of that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much what everyone else has said. I know for me, I had a lot of ups and downs with my own personal manuscripts, so I always kind of aim for contemporary young adult between 60 and 65, but I've written more, and then with different edits, I've really cut out. So I think kind of with writers being flexible with that, there's no real one perfect word count, but know that when you revise, you're probably going to add a lot and also simultaneously take out a lot, and just to be cool with that. That
also,
your word
Stephanie,
count
did we ask you also what you're looking for in a mentee? Because I feel like we skipped over you because we were having all those technical difficulties.
Yeah, I didn't really have a whole lot more to add. It's kind of the same stuff as everyone else, but.
No, I don't like skipping people. And I just realized, I'm like, wait. We're having all those technical difficulties I got thrown. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's pretty much the same answer as everybody else.
Somebody willing to work hard and debate with you and get to the meat of it.
Yeah, and I think especially to preparing to work with an agent or an editor, I mean, I know sometimes I wish I'd be like, just tell me what to do, and they usually don't. They usually give you this idea, and it's still your work to do. So, I mean, I'd like to help people as much as possible, but it's their book, so in the end they have to make those decisions and, do the work.
Awesome. Nikki!
Since everyone said numbers, and I kind of agree with all of them, I'm going to quote my journalism professor from way back. As long as a dog's tail, as long as it needs to be, and as long as you know it's happy.
Oh.
It served me well.
All right, and I got to everybody on the word count, right? Yes, everybody answered?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Our next question is from Monica M. Hoffman, at MM Hoffman. And the question is, she wants to know, in the sci-fi genre, what POV do you prefer, first or third?
Okay, so this is going to be kind of a two-part, so what I'm going to do is I'll go down the tier, and I'll ask if you're doing sci-fi. If you are, then yay, answer. If not, we know something about what you don't want, and we'll move on. So, Jen, we'll start with you.
I'm not taking it.
All right.
I'm not looking at it either.
All right, Helene.
I'm gonna say no, but again, give me a good, give me something like the last Star Trek movie, and we'll talk.
All right. Elizabeth, are you back?
I think so. Is it better now?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's
Oh, yeah.
so much better. All right, so let's recap really quick who you
Okay.
are, what you're looking for, and then we'll go into are you seeking sci-fi or fantasy?
Okay, yes, I'm seeking sci-fi. My sci-fi book comes out next year in April, and the sequel comes out in the fall after that, so only like 6 months apart, which is kind of crazy. So yes, I do want sci-fi. I also want fantasy, mystery, thriller, and contemporary.
Awesome.
So
So in your sci-fi fantasy, do you prefer first point of view or third point of view?
I guess I prefer first for YA, but I don't really have a huge preference. I think it works in either one. It just, as long as you have a close third person for YA, I think it's good either way.
Awesome. And what are you looking for in a mentee? I'm recapping the questions with you really quick.
Rapid fire questions.
Yes.
Someone who is willing to work hard on their manuscript, because I will probably make them work hard. What else? Someone,
And what were you looking for in regards to word counts for your YAs? Like
if
bottom
it's
and
over
top.
100K, I will probably make you cut it down to less than 100K. That's pretty much it, though. I think I've done that for every single one of my mentees.
Awesome. Brianna, are you doing sci-fi and fantasy?
I'm doing fantasy, but not sci-fi.
Okay,
so do I?
Yeah, so for your fantasies, are you looking for first person, third person?
I love both equally. I read and write in both. So if it's third person, as long as the third person is close, then we're good. I love both.
Awesome. Stephanie?
I have the same exact answer. So yes to fantasy. We're probably not sci-fi. Unless it's something, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Erica O'Rourke. She has a series now called Dissonance, and there's one, and it's this parallel timelines and things, and it kind of blends like contemporary world with fantasy and sci-fi. So it's not spaceships sci-fi, but it has some really cool kind of science fiction elements in it. So I don't want to be like no sci-fi at all. I feel like there's some kind of gray areas in there, but if it's like
more like space opera, where it's,
no, I would say probably no space opera, but things that kind of blend that fantasy sci-fi. We're pretty open. I think Valerie and I both were like, we don't really want to have a no list. If something's really well written and we seem like we might be able to help you, like by all means, and first or third, it doesn't matter, I think.
Awesome. Yeah. Nikki?
Yes to light sci-fi, not too much fantasy, and I do prefer first person, but I like third person, but I guess I'd have to really, really connect with the character more, which is hard for me as a reader in third person than first person. But if it was a really good third person, I'd be fine with it.
Awesome. Lori?
I will take light science fiction, kind of more like realistic science fiction, and fantasy, but I generally prefer my fantasy in the contemporary vein as opposed to high fantasy. I love reading things like Game of Thrones, but I don't think I'm the best mentor for something that's going to be that big of an epic fantasy. And in terms of first or third person, it doesn't really matter to me. I think both can be done well. The only thing I'll say about either one, really, close third person or first person, is I've been doing some critiquing lately and finding that writers are forgetting that, especially in first person, that they're in the character's head and they're just having the character kind of go through the plot without giving you that internal dialogue and that internal monologue. And that's so important, and that's great for first person. That's what you can really dig into. So if you're doing first person, make sure you have that element. That's really what's going to make it stand out. And if you don't think you can do that, then maybe you should be switching to third person. I think it's less about the genre and more about what the writer is comfortable with.
Awesome answer. All right. Next question?
The next question is from Ashley Graham at Ashley Graham 55, and it's quite close to the one before, but it's what are you most looking forward to seeing from mentees? I would say she must mean genres, but yeah.
I guess maybe it's a kind of you know, what sort of story are you looking for the most kind of question. Like if you have like a Goonies-esque type thing you're looking for, or like kind of what's that one trope maybe you're looking for. So we will start with Jeannie.
Well, I'm not really looking for a specific trope or anything like that, or even a plot line that's on my mind, but what I had said in my wish list is that I'm really looking for someone who can bring the laughs, because as much as I love all of the dark contemporary stuff, and I do, I really, really do, I feel like a lot of times there's not enough humor peppered throughout, and I always feel like I like the dark stories that have the humor in the background. So I'm hoping that I can find a good balance of that. Or even something on the lighter side that's got a lot of humor. I like to laugh, and I feel like sometimes that kind of gets lost in all of the serious books, or the issue books, so to speak. And you can have, you know, dark or even intense issue books, but people still laugh, and they still want that, because I don't know, like I said, people still laugh. It's still, even in the darkest of times, hopefully someone's going to try to make you laugh. And yeah, so that's what I'm looking for. Someone that's going to bring the funnies.
All right, Helene?
I think most I'd like to be surprised. You know, I want to read something that I haven't read 17 times before, or so many times you see people start querying things and everybody seems to be querying the same kind of stories. So I want to see something different. I want to see something that really makes me stop and go, wow, like I really want to spend all this time with these characters and with this story.
Elizabeth.
I really like high concept stuff. And what else? I like diversity. So if you have diverse characters, I definitely want that. Both my last two mentees had LGBT books, so I'm definitely open to all of that.
Awesome. Brianna?
I'm open to, like, I love so much, so I like light, dark, whatever. But if we're picking something that I like want so badly, is I love villainous characters. So either as a POV character or just as your, like, if you give me Walter White or like Teenage, or so I guess Jesse Pinkman or whatever, or the Darkling or the Jackal in Red Rising, like someone who's just really wicked. If they are the main character or not, I don't care. I love it. I will love you. I love it. So.
You want a YA Walter White. I just want to put that out there. I thought that was so
yes, please.
So, Stephanie.
Yeah, I think we're looking for the high concept, which means something that you can just pitch really easily. Something that's, I don't know, just a unique setting, unique premise. I always go back to book comparisons because I feel like that's helpful. So there's a book that Valerie actually sent me, what is it? Rites of Passage. And it's a girl, YA girl goes to a boot camp that's a prestigious male high school, military academy, and she's with the first group of girls, and like right away you're just completely immersed in this military world, and I just found it fascinating. I think I read it in like 2 sittings. So stuff like that where it's not just about the girl in the military academy, but it's just, it was very layered, a lot of good character work. So again, we're kind of looking for everything, but really unique premise, or an interesting premise. The diversity thing, rather than say like, someone who has OCD. The story's not just about a girl with OCD and how she deals with her life having OCD. It's her friend is murdered and she's the only one who can save her, and she has OCD, and what is she going to do? So something like that where it's very layered.
Awesome. Nikki.
I really want a unique, fun voice, and I'm with Jean Marie. Bring me the funny. I love to laugh. I love it if you can make me laugh and cry in the same book, because then I'm just like, what do I do with myself? And I need that in my life. But if your voice is just one of those books where I can't put it down because I just want to get to know your characters more and be their friend, that's what I'm really looking for, more than any kind of plot or type of genre.
All right. Sorry, I haven't minimized. Who's next?
Lori.
Lori.
I think I'm going to have some problems with Nikki and Jean Marie because we're kind of looking for some of the same things. I definitely like something with humor. If a book really has zero humor, it probably is not going to be my thing. I need that element of lightness, even if it's a dark story. I need a little bit of that humor in there, so that's like really important to me. And otherwise, I think it was I forget who it said, maybe Elizabeth, that she wants to be surprised and something unexpected. And I think you get to do that with a high concept book. My mentee 2 years ago, Lori Elizabeth Flynn, her book is called Firsts, which we named together during Pitch Wars, which is pretty cool. And that's coming out in January of next year. And it's a high concept. It's about a girl who in high school is giving virgins their first time. And if you would have told me that, I don't know if I would have said, oh yeah, that's definitely my kind of book. But as soon as I read her first page, it was the voice just stood out from everything else. It was just fantastic. So again, it was high concept, and it was that voice, and it had humor. And that's why it's hard to say I'm looking for this exact thing, because it probably will surprise me if you can pull off all the other things.
Awesome. Jen.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I had to unmute myself, sorry. Okay. Like everyone else said, I'm looking for high concept as well, and I really would like to laugh. So anything that makes me smile and laugh throughout the whole thing, that's what I'm looking for. I would really, like I mentioned before, I'd really kill for a good mystery book or a sports romance, something that kind of, you know, is just something unique. I'm just looking for something unique. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Jean Marie, did you answer yet? I'm losing track.
I did answer.
She went first.
Yeah, I was.
Yay.
So whatever our next question is, Helene gets to go first. She's getting a heads up. So.
Excellent. Well, the next question, I know I'm going to pronounce the name wrong because that's what I do. It's Susan Tator, I don't know. Any past YA trends you want to see make a comeback, or that should have had, or should have more of a moment? I'm sorry, I changed that grammatically.
Helene, go ahead.
No, I mean, I don't tend to read, you know, trends. I never like jumped on the dystopian thing. I have to say I've never read The Hunger Games. Don't hate me. Really, I've become a very picky reader, I find. So it's become for me less about genre and more about the characters and whether they're layered and interesting and not people I've seen a million times. So, you know, I personally, you know, prefer, or rather I'm more comfortable with books with male protagonists. I write mostly male protagonists, so you know, that's something I like, a lot of quiet YA. So I can't say that there's a trend that was big that I want to see come back. I kind of sift through the rubble at the bookstore, you know, until I find something that really, you know, makes me feel like I must have it before I walk out the door.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
I wish sci-fi would get bigger, like not dystopian, but sci-fi, like light sci-fi or even space opera. But it never really has taken off, so I would hope that that does. Paranormal is not one of my genres, but I do think that paranormal is going to come back. I just don't read it very much, but I kind of think that might come back around in the next year or two.
Thank you, Brianna.
I'm not taking paranormal, but I have a deep wish for vampires to come back. I love vampires forever, and that probably just comes back to loving the dark and sexy, powerful villains. So just putting that back out there. But vampires, I wish someday.
Thank you. Who is this?
Stephanie.
Let's see. trend. Selfishly, I'd like historical YA to have kind of more of a resurgence because I have one and it's been very difficult to, get sold. I love it, and I will always kind of gravitate toward the historical books. Does seem like historical YA that has fantasy elements seem to do better, but I would like to see that.
Nikki?
I would love to see space opera come back a little bit. If Firefly ever came back from the dead in the form of a book,
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
I would weep so many happy tears. Also, I wish historical would make a nice, strong comeback. I love Pioneer, Medieval, just things like that. Yeah, so.
Thank you. Laurie?
I'm with Brianna on the vampires. I always love vampires. I'll never stop. But I'll answer more for what I know. Yes, agents are kind of seeing as the trend, and I know from talking to my own agent about what's selling right now, and contemporary is still selling pretty hot. It's still the biggest thing that she says editors are looking for. That's not to say you're not going to sell anything if you don't have a contemporary, but it still is up there. And there's still the element of having to have a romance in a book, which I love and I want to have and I write in mine. But YA romance in whatever the story is important. And sister relationships are things that are out there that people are looking for. So those are some of the things from the agent side that I know they're saying editors are looking for.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you. Jennifer? Hello.
Well, let's see. I'm with the vampire thing. I would really like to see vampires come back. I'm not thinking paranormal, but that's reading Twilight. That's what got me into reading in the first place. So I have to admit that I love Twilight. So yeah, I would love to see some more vampires. But really, I like quiet YA as well. So I would like to see that. Obviously it's quiet YA, so I don't know if it'll take it by storm, but I really wish it would, because there's a lot of great books that don't get enough attention because they're quiet. So I would like to see that change.
Thank you. Jean-Marie?
Well, I have to be kind of corny and go with the whole vampire thing, too. I'm actually surprised that so many of you said that. When you first asked the question, I was thinking to myself, am I going to be the only dork that says vampires? And I'm glad that there are so many dorks with me. I do not like a sexy vampire. But yeah, I love Twilight too. And there was actually a series called House of Night, and it jumped the shark at one point for me. There's a million, at least a dozen books with vampire training school, and it was so cool. It was just different than Twilight, but it still had the vampire aspect, and I kind of wish that would come back around again.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's my thing.
That's awesome.
All right.
I love all these vampire things. Yes, I do. Okay, the next question.
I wonder why you love all these vampire things. It could be because she writes it and publishes it.
I actually entered into Pitch Wars last year with the vampire book, and I knew when I was hitting enter, I knew that it was not going to get any love. But to be fair, it was written really badly at the time, so I had no one to blame but myself. It was terrible. But I love you all. The next question is from Christy Hudden at CH the Writer. What's the #1 thing that catches your attention in a query?
Ooh, very good question.
And
Elizabeth.
that's first for Elizabeth.
#1 thing. For me, it's always the concept, and if it's something I haven't seen before, because I think other people disagree with me, but for me personally, if your concept is not there, then there's no amount of voice or writing that can fix that, really. Like, you need to start with a really good concept, in my opinion. That's what I look for.
Thank you. Brianna? I think Brianna might not be there.
Really?
How
about now?
You're there.
That's fine. We have your voice. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
We can hear you now.
Maybe we can hear you now. Are you still there?
It's still be bodied voice.
I think we lost Brianna.
I think we'll move on to Stephanie for now, please.
All right, Stephanie.
High concept and unique setting.
That was simple.
Simple
I know.
She thought that out. Like, she had that waiting for when she did the on screen. Like, it was just there. Boom. This is what I want. I know it. I want it. I love it. Okay.
Give it to me now. Nikki. Nikki.
Sorry, what?
What's the number one thing you look for in a query?
Oh, number one, really care about your character within the first couple sentences. Because if I can't care about your character in the query, I might have trouble caring for your character in chapter 1.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Laurie?
I would like to see that the query does what a query needs to do, which is have that really cohesive pitch that tells you what the book is about. A lot of the queries tend to, they're very, very generic. So they, like, it's the worst thing is going to happen to this character. Everything's kind of written in a cliche way, and you're not giving me specifics about your plot. That's what the query needs to do. And I really want to see that whoever is submitting the query has done the research of what is a good query letter? How do I put that pitch together? Have the bio section. Treat us like we're an agent, because we're kind of vetting you for agents. We're one step before then. So you have to have that query letter down now. You have to do your research. You have to know how to present your book in a pitch and present the whole letter in a professional way. So that's what I'm looking for as an overall query. Is it structured right? And I can tell from having done a lot of query critiques and doing pitch wars as a mentor for a few years, you understand now on this other side of the table why sometimes agents get so angry when people don't follow the quote-unquote rules, because you're reading hundreds of submissions. And when you find the ones that are done right, you do go, yes. And it kind of gives you a leg up to make me want to read your pages. And, whereas mentors may be reading 30, 40, 50, 60, sometimes 100 submissions. So the way to make yours stand out for me, the first way, is to have that query letter done as well as you can.
Awesome. And I think Brianna's back, so I kind of want to jump back to her and see if we can hear her.
Okay, can you guys hear me right now?
Yes.
So in a query, voice is really important to get across in a query. So I'll kind of forgive that if it's not there. But this I really, really want in a query is stakes. Clearly defined stakes, and I want to be in suspense from reading the query.
Awesome. And back to Jennifer.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, like she just said, definitely clear goals, clear obstacles, clear stakes, and I would love it to be kind of a voicey query, to kind of get a sense of the author's writing style as well.
Thank you. Jean Marie?
I'm going to echo what the last two, Brianna and Jennifer, said, that voice is huge for me. I have to hear it right away. And also the stakes are huge as well. One thing, I cannot stand cliche terminology in queries. I tend to groan when I see it, and so if you're gonna sub to me, try to get away from stuff like that, because as a writer, I'm sure you could come up with a better way to say something than something that's already been said 500 million times before.
Thank you. Helene?
For me, it's two-pronged, clarity and voice. One, can you boil your story down to its heart, in 2 paragraphs? But 2, can you do that in such a way that I can hear your main character in my head already? And is that a voice that I find compelling and want to spend that much time with?
Thank you. I think that
All right.
everybody. I think it
I think
is.
we got everybody.
Yeah. Have we got time for another, Natasha?
Yeah, go for it. I mean, unless
Okay.
anybody needs to, we're 5 minutes there, so obviously this question is going to go over, so does anybody need to drop out, or are you all good to answer another question?
Yeah, and this is actually touching on what Jean Marie said a moment ago, and it's again from Christy Hudson at CH the Writer. What sort of thing makes your eyebrows twitch in a bad way in a query?
Oh, that's a good question. Brianna, you're up first.
Okay. So stakes are big for me, like I said. So vagueness, vague stakes, particularly, or yeah, I guess cliche kind of stuff is a bummer, or anything that is like insensitive or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. So vagueness, I guess, is probably the biggest one.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you. Stephanie?
I would agree with the cliches. I took a writing course that like drilled it into me to never use a cliche, and now I always notice it, even if I sometimes use it. But just like, you know, she had a roller coaster ride experience. I mean, like, what does that mean anymore? Like, you just want to tell me, like, this is what happened. This is specifically what's happening. Or especially ending of like the rhetorical question of will the world end and something something. And I had heard an agent say, you don't want to ask someone that because what if they say no and then they're just, you know, off delete. Like end on something powerful, not a rhetorical question that could apply to any story.
Yeah. Nikki?
I actually didn't hear the question because my internet froze.
Is there anything in a query that makes your eyebrows twitch in a bad way?
Too many character names mentioned. I can only handle, like,
3, count the fingers.
Yeah, like, yeah. It needs to be minimal, or I will just be like, who is this about? And cry and be in the field.
To tack on to what Nikki said about that really quick, from what I always learned, you should be naming only your protagonist, your antagonist, and the love interest or best friend. Those should be your only 3 names. Laurie.
That's fantastic.
Laurie, please.
You said that so well, Natasha. That's what I was going to say. Too many characters. And the too many characters kind of goes along with having too many, telling all your subplots. You don't tell all the subplots. You focus on that main plot. There's a lot more in your book. We know we'll get there. Don't worry about it. But tell us the main plot. And when you do that, then you kind of drop out of all those extra character names just by the nature of telling your main plot only.
Awesome.
Thank you. Jennifer?
My biggest thing is if I'm reading it and I'm just not understanding what the story is about. So there's just too much going on, or maybe it's just, you know, it's just not tight enough where they're talking about, like everyone else said, like they're talking about every little detail when really you just need to boil it down to 2 paragraphs about what your book's about. Anything more than that, and it just becomes a little confusing.
Thank you. Jean-Marie?
Well, I already complained about the cliche thing, so I won't be cranky anymore about that. But I do, like, I always, when I write them, stick with that whole character conflict consequence idea and try to keep it tight that way. And I just want to say to any of the potential mentees out there, don't get spooked just because we're talking about things that make our eyes twitch. For me at least, and I bet this goes for a whole big bunch of the mentors as well, I love drafting queries, and I may be crazy, but I really do, and I like tweaking them up for my CPs or for anybody else that I need to do it for. So I'm not going to auto-reject over what a query looks like. If the story looks great, I'm going to go on to the story. It's not a make or break issue for me, and I think that that's the whole point, and most of us would agree that we're here to help you on that. So just do the best you can, and you know, we're going to wind up helping you anyway.
That's awesome. Thank you. Helene?
Well, what I wrote down when you asked the question was too many characters and rambling about subplots. But yeah, it's the same thing. There's so many amazing resources out there about how to write query letters, and I actually love writing query letters, but it's easier to help somebody else do theirs than to write your own. But yeah, when I get a query letter that's like 4 paragraphs kind of with no line breaks, I kind of feel like the writer hasn't taken the time, you know, to research to find out what does a winning query letter actually look like. So I want to at least feel like the person's taken that step to do their homework a little bit.
Awesome.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
My pet peeve is when people use comp titles poorly. Like, I would prefer if people didn't use comp titles at all than do it wrong, I guess. Because, like, I did the writer's voice recently, and I swear, like, every single person in that one used Les Miserables, even if it really had nothing to do with Les Miserables, I guess because the movie came out. I don't know. So just be considerate with your comp titles, or just don't use them at all. You don't need them. I think it's better to not use them if you're not sure.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So we are at the end of the hour. Holy crap. That was the fastest hour ever. In regards to query, I also kind of, guys, if you're saying stuff like this person has a secret, or there's a mystery, or there's this or that, you know, and you're being vague like that, you probably want to take it out and just put what's happening. You don't want to keep it a secret about what's happening in your query. You just don't want to give away the ending. So let your mentors know what's happening so that they can make an informed decision on whether the story is for them. If you're vague, they don't know your story, and you want them to know it so that you have a better chance of getting picked. So, so before we head off, is there anything anybody would like to add that they didn't get to say, something they kind of wanted to say, and I'll just tear it down the line? Stephanie, is there anything you wanted to close out with?
I also like funny books. We didn't talk about that. Other people mentioned that, so.
Awesome. Nikki?
I just want to say...
That echoed.
Sorry. Am I still echoing? No?
No.
Okay. I just want to say that for everyone entering Pitch Wars, just really get to know the fellow community on the hashtag and really take this time to meet other writers. Whether you get in or not, this is a great opportunity just to really connect with other people and hone your craft.
Awesome. Lori?
I wanted to say that I know a lot of people see Pitch Wars and they're really excited to enter, and it's a great contest, and it's great people, and I've made so many great friends through it, but you don't want to rush and enter if your book isn't ready. And I know it's hard to think, I have to wait a whole nother year, but there are other contests, and you know what, maybe you'll only be in a place where you won't need the contest, and you'll be able to query on your own. Don't rush it. Don't send us manuscripts that aren't ready yet, because they're not going to be the ones chosen, and then you're going to be disappointed. It's for your manuscript that's really at that point where you're like, I'm about to hit send to an agent and start querying. That's the level you want your manuscript at. And if you're not there, maybe it's not the right time to enter. And you want to cut down on the feeling of that disappointment. And I just wanted to say my own personal story really quickly. I applied to be a mentee in 2012, and I did not get selected. And I didn't get selected for a good reason. My first pages weren't where they needed to be. And getting a little bit of feedback from the mentors I applied to made me redo those pages, and I got an agent 2 months later on my own. So, you know, it's not the end of the world, and you might actually come out better on the other side for having given it a try and being able to look at your work in a new way.
That's excellent. Jennifer!
Yeah, so my thing is going to be keep an open mind. This is a really great community. I just love the Pitch Wars community. Everyone's so supportive. So just, you know, don't be afraid to talk to mentors or talk to potential mentees. Make those relationships, because some of my really great writing friends have come from this contest, and I've learned, even as a mentor, I've learned so much from it. So really just keep an open mind when you're doing the contest.
I'm going to pimp Jen a little bit because she's kind of amazing in my eyes. She helped me after Pitch Wars a few months later. She really helped me with my query, like so much so that it really helped me get my agent. So I'm just going to pimp out. She's amazing.
I really love writing queries. Like, that's my favorite thing to do is doing queries. So yeah, I'm weird. So whatever.
Nothing wrong with that. Jean-Marie, anything that you would like to add?
I think, I can't remember if Lori was saying it or not, but also there's, it's not the end of the world if you don't become selected. So don't think it sort of like devalues you as a writer or anything like that. There are tons of other contests out there as well, some of which Brenda herself hosts. So there are other opportunities out there. There's also plain old querying. So it's not going to be the end of the world if that happens, and you have to also look at the odds too. It's only a small group of people that wind up making it compared to how many people wind up entering. So I just want people to go into it kind of setting their expectations the right way. Because if they're too high, then you'll feel crushed. And I don't want people to feel crushed.
Awesome.
Thank you, Helene.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to echo what everybody else said. I got my first agent through a contest, but my second and third agents were straight queries. And, you know, the contests are great, and something like this, I think, is a magnificent, you know, opportunity. But, you know, get yourself a good query partner. I can't imagine writing without my CPs. I mean, they are just absolutely, I owe them everything. And there's a lot of different ways to get to the same goal. So don't assume that this is the only stepping stone.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
You guys were all so smart, I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay, that's how I live.
So wise. I'm like, want to take notes here. Oh, okay. My thing was, I think a lot of people get stressed out over who they should submit to because there's only 5 and there's 100 mentors. But at least last year, we shared a lot of applications that we got that weren't right. And I think 2 of mine actually got picked by other mentors. Yeah, I think it was 2. So because I saw them and I thought, these are great, but they're not for me personally, so I sent them to other mentors. So don't stress too much over, you know, you have to pick the perfect 5, and there's 6 you want, you know, because we share the ones that are great.
Thank you. Brianna?
Okay, so I just wanted to say something about what I wanted to see that I didn't say earlier, and this probably goes for majority of mentors, but I really want to see diversity, and that's not like I will say no if it's too undiverse or whatever, but like all kinds of diversity, so, you know, racial, cultural, socioeconomic, religious, LGBTQ, anything like that, that's a massive, massive plus for me, as long as it's well done. And then the other thing that I wanted to say was just I think it could be really nerve-wracking entering contests like this, where you get accepted by, you know, mentors or whatever, or rejected. And I want you guys to all know that everybody doing this contest wants you to succeed, and they want to like your work, and you're brave for writing a book, and you're brave for entering a contest, and for all of that. So just want to say that no matter what happens in this contest, you are brave and awesome. So that's the end of it.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, I just sneezed. Sorry. Anyways, I had to mute my microphone, or that was just going to come right through really loud. I was like, ah! I've had allergies so bad. For you guys that don't know, I'm in Central Florida right now taking care of my mom. She just had surgery a few weeks ago. But my allergies have been so bad since I've been up here because I'm literally in the middle of the woods. It's terrible. But here are your YA mentors, some of them anyway. There are still plenty more to come. Tomorrow we are actually having the crossover mentors. There are a few mentors who are, and actually Jen Blackwood's one of them. I'm not sure if anybody else is. If they're doing, because we have some NA and YA and some NA adult mentors. So they're doing both categories. So tomorrow night we're going to have those mentors on talking about what they're looking for. So we'll be taking more questions. If you did not get your question answered, that's okay. Directly ask the mentors. They're not going to bite you, I promise, unless you like that. But anyways,
they're still not going to bite you even if you like it.
They're more than happy to answer your questions, so all their Twitters have been listed, so make sure you get to know them and you talk to them because they're so happy to answer your questions and get to know you. So you guys have a wildly creative night, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Take care.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.